As your adrenaline begins to wane and you can still feel your heartbeat pounding through your chainmail, you continue to survey the bloody scene around you. Your cleric, Vima, is tending to the merchant you were hired to escort to Goldenleaf. Egan, the party's mage, seems to be collecting something from one of the dead goblins, and Roth is standing over a propped-up ambusher, holding a dagger. Even through the harsh and guttural sounds coming from the goblin, you recognize the word it keeps repeating. Mercy. Your dungeon master looks up and asks, "What do you do?" For some of you, the answer is obvious. You know immediately how your character would handle capturing an enemy that ambushed you out on the road. But for others, you might have to think about it for a moment. Would your character just kill the goblin? That simple? Just walk up and tell your game master that you kill him so that you and your friends can move on with the adventure? Or would your character let him go? He poses no threat, and as heartily as your group beat back their attackers, you're confident that even the slowest of any remaining goblins would be smart enough to leave you and your caravan alone. Besides, if there are any more goblins out there, killing this one wouldn't mean anything for future travelers down this road. They would still need to be able to defend themselves from goblins and brigands and the like anyways. So will your character show mercy, or will they be swift of sword? The key to this question is the secret behind creating a great character, regardless of whether you're playing Dungeons & Dragons 5e or Starfinder or Warhammer. And that's what I want to talk about today. I hope you're ready. Let's get started. Welcome, adventurers. What's going on, guys? My name is Cody. This is Taking 20, a channel about all things role-playing games. Today, we're going to talk about 6 questions to ask every character you make that will help you find that character's voice, so to speak. Now, there are a lot of different questions that you'll need to answer to really create a rich background for your Dungeons & Dragons or Starfinder character. But what I've done is come up with a list of 6 questions that I think are a really fantastic jumping off point for your character. If you stop and answer these questions every time you make a new character, I promise you'll have a fast track to creating a memorable and well-developed character for your D&D game or whatever system you're playing in. Now, I will say that this list of questions is a little bit different from what you might expect, but these questions are, in my opinion, the most important questions that you can ask of your new character. Okay, so question 1 is this character a hero? And why or why not? I really, really love this question. When I start building a new Dungeons & Dragons character, I always start with this question, because I think that it immediately gets me on the right track for how this character will act, why they will act, do I want them to be a hero, why not? Before I think about what alignment they should be, which is an awful system, just garbage, I get in the right frame of mind for fleshing out my character by asking if they will be a hero or not. And of course, this question is not black and white, which really helps get the creative juices flowing for me. So let me give you an example. Let's say we're making a fighter. Now, if we're just going to use the traditional alignment system, we'll start off with a character with a very boring, neutral, good fighter written down on our character sheet. But this isn't really helping us flesh out a rich background for our character. Now, I don't want to derail this video with a whole rant about alignment. That's for another video down the road. But what if we say the character isn't a hero because we're asking the right question instead? Okay, so is he self-centered, cowardly, someone who others fear, someone who believes that the concept of blood and glory are for fools and that life is about survival? Is he simply greedy? Already, we are on our way to developing a much deeper character, and one that will be easy to understand how to portray when role-playing. The next question you should ask your new character is, who are their parents? This is a very important question and one that often gets kind of skipped over. Your parents are the biggest influence on your entire life. In real life, it works that way too. So defining who your character's parents are is a fast track to understanding how your character thinks and acts. Was your father a lord, raising you to be compassionate towards those under his protection? Was he a traveling merchant who took you and your two sisters across the land selling his wares? Or did he leave you at home only to return with fantastic stories of brave knights he overheard in the capital's inns and taverns? Was your mother a con artist and a thief, raising you alone in a traveling band of actors? Or was she a powerful mage and the first woman to sit on the king's council in over 800 years? Answering the question to who were your parents is a really in-depth look at your character's frame of mind and will have much bigger implications for your character than what it might seem just on the surface. This question also leads us very nicely into our next question, which is, why are you an adventurer? This is the one question that gets glossed over by players the most and is probably the single most important question that you can ask any new character that you're creating. Why? Why are you on the road, leaving behind the safety of the city and its walls? Why are you risking your life to explore the ruins of Nezra? Why did you take up with a raggedy band of space explorers on this small transport ship? Is it for the glory? Because you had nowhere left to go? Or perhaps you finally decided it was time to hear those tavern tales your father told to you for yourself? Or maybe it was to seek revenge on the man who had your con artist mother's hand cut off. The why is always the most important question for your character, and this should be asked every single time you make a new character. This, of course, is a great lead into our next question, which is, what are your immediate goals? Of course, knowing your character's long-term goals is important, but I think understanding and having short-term goals is what will help you and your dungeon master or game master drive the story. A Song of Ice and Fire, or Game of Thrones, is a perfect example of this. All of the characters have the same boring long-term goal. They want to rule. But it's the short-term goals of finding out who is spying for the queen and who will marry who to shift the balance of power between the great houses and which of the lesser houses will pledge their banners that makes for an interesting and powerful story. And the same goes for building up these great characters. So stop and ask your character what their immediate goals are and work with your dungeon master or game master to incorporate them into the game. They'll be thrilled your character has such strong motivations and should jump at the chance to let you give them ideas for where to take the story next. The next question that you should ask every character is, are they religious? So in many game settings, and I would even venture to say the majority, gods exist. Without a doubt, everyone knows that deities exist. It is a fact, and people can see their works in the world around them. So you should have an idea of whether your character is religious or not. Personally, I think that most people in a world where the existence of gods can be proven would be religious. But if your character isn't, that is something that would impact how they act in the game. If they are, then which gods do they worship and why? Does your character pray to all gods as they are needed because that makes the most sense to them? Or do they pray to the goddess of luck exclusively? How does that affect their actions, their mannerisms? Do they only pray to the god of death because death comes for all and it's not to be feared? Or do they pray to the god of death because they are terrified of dying? How would this be portrayed in your character? To lean on Game of Thrones once again, the answer to is your character religious is the difference between Stannis Baratheon and Renly Baratheon. It's a great question to ask every new character you make. And finally, the question we started this video off with, is your character merciful? Man, what I love about this question is its subjectivity. This is a fast track to answering how your character really thinks. If being merciful to a goblin might lead to the death of an innocent traveler later, is it right to let it go? Is it careless? Is it right to just kill something helpless? Or is it the smart play to kill the goblin just in case it tries to bring more of its clan back? Is your character someone who could cold-heartedly end another being's life when it is no longer a threat to your own? Or would they still do it, but feel guilt for the next 10 days? The answer to this question is a really deep look into the core of your new character. So, would your character kill the goblin, or would they let it go? So there you go, guys. There are the 6 most important questions that you should ask every time you create a new character. But now it is time to pass it over to you, the community, to see what you guys think. Did I miss any of the big ones? What do you think are the most important questions to ask your character every single time? I really look forward to discussing this particular topic with you guys in the comments down below. And of course, I got to give a huge shout out to all of the kick-ass patrons who are supporting me and supporting the channel. If you guys like what I do here, you want to support me, you want to support the channel, links to the Patreon are down in the description below. Go snag some rewards for yourself. Also, be sure to check out the free Taking 20 Discord and come hang out with me and everybody else in the community. If this is your first time here and you love role-playing games as much as I do, I'd love to have you subscribe. Every week, I'll be putting out new videos on GM tips, player tips, tutorials, and more. So if that sounds like something you might be interested in, just hit that subscribe button down below and come join us. Thank you guys so much for watching. My name is Cody, and may your games be filled with awesome memories and even better friends. I'll catch you guys next time.
Yeah.